To have a healthy and productive orchard, it all begins with the correct planting of the young apple trees.
So we're going to demonstrate the planting of apple trees, and the first point to make is that it's critical that the trees are hydrated when they're planted. So what we recommend is that trees be placed in water overnight on the day before planting. Make sure that they've taken up as much water as they can and to reduce the transplant shock. Okay, so here's the tree we're going to plant on clonal rootstock. We've got a good system, a nice spread of roots. We've got a couple of broken roots, so we could just prune those off, the broken ones, and straighten them out a little bit. But generally we want to keep as many of the roots as possible because they're going to get the tree started.
This apple tree is being planted in good silt loam soil, so the hole is just slightly wider than the root system. However, in Himachal, Pradesh, the soil may be rockier. If there are rocks or an impervious layer, a bigger pit would need to be dug.
I want to go slightly below the depth of the roots to make sure that the ground is friable and has been worked up. Okay, so in terms of fertiliser, we can add a superphosphate type fertiliser because phosphate is good for the root development and it's not very mobile in the soil, so we need to incorporate it. If we put too much, we can run the risk of burning the roots or especially if it becomes dry, the moisture could be sucked out of the tree. So this is just 200 grams. We could go more than that, but we think this is a safe and conservative amount. In terms of compost, and this is a well broken down compost, we think that's a 20-litre bucket. So we don't want to have more than about 25% of the soil volume in compost. So we want to just incorporate that a bit to spread the fertiliser and mix up the compost and the soil. So with the planting of the tree, the critical thing we're looking for is that the union is well above the ground. So just looking at that, we're more or less in the right category here. So we like to give the roots a bit of a shake to get plenty of soil around them, and then to press down the soil so it's nice and firm. One thing too is that we can face the union into a prevailing wind. So if the wind's coming this way, it's less likely to shear off at the union of the rootstock and the side. The soil's going to sink a little bit, so we want to be slightly above the natural soil height. And finally we can just adjust the height. So I'm a little bit deep, but probably just okay. We really want to be about 3 or 4 inches but with the union above. So that's a bare minimum, but just acceptable. And finally, in terms of pruning, we've done this before, but really all of these branches, to my way of thinking, are too low. And these are very steep. We don't want any branches below about 60 centimetres. So the best thing would be to remove them all with flush cuts, because we want our branches to develop in this zone.
If these planting methods are followed, then orchardists in Himachal Pradesh have the best chance of developing well-producing orchards.